Create that life legacy, designers. Amber Procia here. Welcome to episode number 1 of the Parenting Biz podcast, coming to you every Monday. Now let's chat with this week's featured guest, Marina J. Marina, are you ready to advise us on your journey of how you produce the life you've always wanted for yourself and your family?
Yes.
Amazing. When Marina J became a single mom in 2001, her light went out. She couldn't find anyone to teach her, not just show her how to turn her life around, but actually how to flourish. So she made a decision. She would do it. She put herself on her own program, and within 6 months, her life turned around in a big way, and her light turned back on. She had what those around her didn't, a system that took her out of her old life and into the new. Since then, she's become a #1 best-selling author, a speaker, and a life coach, because your happiness is everything. She married the love of her life and lives by the beach near Sydney. She's been interviewed by Channel 9's Breakfast Show, ABC Radio, Fox Sports Radio, 2GB Radio, Body and Soul, Better Health and Gardens, and more. Her motto is that you're built to heal because you're built to live that life that's waiting for you. Marina, please take a minute and fill in any gaps from that intro and give us a little glimpse of your own personal life.
Thank you so much.
You're most welcome.
That was fabulous. Look, you've basically covered it. I mean, my basic premise is that you're actually built to heal. So if you're listening to this right now and you have something persistent that's in your life that just isn't going away, and you've read the self-help books and you're seeing a therapist or you're doing this and that and the other, there's actually nothing wrong with you. It's just that you haven't found your best way to heal yet, and you haven't healed it, whatever it is, at your deepest level yet. That's all this ever is, because I have so many people that come into my office feeling like there's something wrong with them. So that's the only other thing I would add. And if you're listening to this and you take nothing else away but this will change your life. This will absolutely change your life, that you are genuinely built to heal and you just haven't found your right way yet. There's never, ever anything wrong with you. In terms of my personal life, yes, I'm with my beloved Paul, who has actually written a part in my book.
Oh, amazing.
And he is just divine. So, yeah, I'm just really, really happy and doing my thing. And like anybody, it doesn't matter where you're at in life, you're always learning. So I'm in a big learning stage at the moment. I'm also teaching, I'm also coaching, I'm speaking, doing all of that. So, yeah, I'm just really happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me, and to your first podcast as well. Very, very happy to be here.
Thank you so much, Marina. You're incredible, first off. So thank you so much for being part of the show. We really appreciate that. And as you are aware, our listeners are parents or parents-to-be that realize ownership is key to not only to our parenting or business, but in life in general. And along the parenting journey, we can lose sight of that. However, if we focus on life as a game or an activity or a sport, not only can we learn to let go easier, but we can also gain strength from our mistakes and design our core focus to be one of laughter, joy, and most importantly, having fun, just like a 5-year-old kid in the sandbox. So this week, our entire interview will be constructed around the grand opening night for the most famous show in town, and you're the main character about to hit the main stage. Welcome to our performance called Ignite Your Power. Now, as we're all aware, this is an analogy. We can create and design our lives any way we want. Marina, this is your chosen activity, so please take us through your daily performance and how you make it work with your life and expertise. Are you ready to get started?
Lights and action. I'm there.
Awesome. I love it. So we're going to break this into sections of the performance. So for a pre-show speech, you're behind stage, you're about to go on. Who would be there with you? Or are you by yourself? And what would be the pep talk that you'd be given or that you'd be receiving for your own self? And now that you are married, does that advice change?
A really good question. So whether you're about to go on stage or whether you're about to go on the school run or whether you're about to enter a meeting or just begin your day, it's like, what is it that's going to get you in zone? And for me, when I'm about to get on stage and talk, or I'm about to start my day, it's actually between me and God. And if you're listening to this, whether you're religious or not, is actually irrelevant. I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about something higher than me, whether it's the universe, spirit, call it whatever you will. And it's about me getting myself in the zone. And basically, I do whatever it takes. So I usually get my voice ready. There's a beautiful yogic posture. I'm a trained yoga instructor as well. I trained 20 years ago. And back when it wasn't cool, people in Australia thought it was something weird when I was telling them what I was doing. They thought it was some cult. Now it's so mainstream, which is absolutely fantastic. But I do a breath called Brahmari breath, and it's basically I hum and I get my throat chakra open. It gets me connected to myself and to the divine. In terms of has the advice changed because I'm now married, my husband has a way of just cutting through the crap and getting straight to me. So if I'm not hearing or feeling something, he'll just say it or he'll just be it. He's very supportive. So if he comes to me when I'm doing a talk, or he came to me to do breakfast TV, he was brilliant. He would just get my dress, he would get my water, make sure I was looked after, all of those things. So yeah, it's more support, but ultimately it's between me and upstairs.
That's beautiful. And would you mind giving us a quick demonstration of your throat clearing?
Sure, absolutely. So it's in my book,
Okay.
and this isn't to promote my book at all, but sometimes when you hear something, you go, "What was that?" So it's in my book. So basically, you put your finger, we'll do it together if you like.
Yeah,
You put your
please.
fingers not in your ears, but in the ear flaps. So just the ear flaps, and you push in so you can't hear a thing. And Brahmari is translated to humming bee breath. That's what it means. And you basically do 10 hums. And as you're humming, it opens up your throat chakra. It gets you completely aligned. So I used to do this before business meetings. I used to have a different company, and I would do it in the car next to the pavement, often with the window open because it's quite hot here in Australia. People walking past,
I
and
can
I'd
only
be humming.
imagine.
But you know what? When you make yourself important in a funny little way, you
That's
don't
it.
care.
No,
This
not
is
at all.
fabulous. It's been proven to lower blood pressure. What it does for me and what it does for my clients is it gets us centered. We hear our voice louder than anybody else's. It gets out any anxiety you have, any fear you have, any worries you have, and gets you settled inside. So you do 10, and once you've done 10 hums, you keep your eyes closed, see if you can hear the blood pumping through your veins. See if you can just sit in that silence, and then just gently take your hands out of your ears and just breathe. Really good to do as well if you've got a busy head before you go to sleep at night. Wonderful to do. And if you've got a person sleeping next to you, go to another room and do it. And it will get you really quiet on the inside. So let's do 2 together because 10 is going to take a little while.
Sure, no problem.
So, and if you're at home listening to this right now, we'll do it all together. So we're all going to take a deep breath in through the nose, block your ears, and you're going to hum. And so on. So you would do 8 more of those and sit and just be. There you are.
That was really great. Thanks so much for. And the first hum, geez, you could go for a long time. And was actually thinking like, how long do we hum for? And then I lost my breath there. But the second one, it was just catching that. And I get obviously with more practice, the longer you can go, and you just go based on, how you feel in that moment and that length. Is that correct, or is
Yeah,
there
it
a set
doesn't.
time? Mm-hmm.
No, it doesn't matter. Sometimes it might be really short. So when you first start, it's usually quite short. And as you continue, and particularly as you get used to breathing out for long stretches, which is also part of yoga, you really learn to release and open. So it doesn't matter how yours sounds. And as you're doing it, you might suddenly go, go really high
Yeah.
pitched. And that's perfect. So just let your throat do whatever it wants to do and really enjoy it.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much for that. Because I really appreciate it. I will definitely practice that. I love different breathing techniques, so that's fantastic. Do you have any other rituals or superstitions that you do before you go on stage?
No superstitions, don't believe in those.
Okay.
And I have a few that I use, and it honestly depends on what I feel like doing. I also make sure that I get into my body. So I might just go and have a little dance. I might just go to the bathroom, put myself into a little stool, stretch, do some dancing. So if you're next to me in the stall and you see some wild shadows being made, I'm in the next door stall to you going, because I want to be in my body. Because when I talk, I want to talk from my body, from me and from above. So I basically do whatever it takes. There's lots and lots of different things. And what I would say to anybody listening to this, it's whatever works for you. You know, meditation, I meditate as well, but meditation doesn't work for everybody. It might be for you that you go for a surf in the morning. It might be that you dance or you do yoga or you sing. It doesn't matter what it is. It's whatever gets you in the zone that's going to work for you. And honestly, Amber, sometimes I get out on stage and I haven't done any of that because I just don't feel like it. I'm
Yeah.
very fluid. So I'm not kind of set in a certain way. It's just whatever I need. If I don't need it, good, I just go on. Uh,
I
yeah.
love that you said that about not being rigid and that you just flow with it, because I think even if you did have rituals, sometimes those rituals change. You know, they don't
Yes.
have to be set in stone. Maybe they're consistent for a period of time in your life right now, and then later on, it could be something else. And maybe you have only one of those techniques or maybe none of them, but those techniques were relevant for that time that you may have been in. So really, I love that you said that. That's really important.
Mm.
Thank you. So, is there anything else before the pre-show opening, or shall we go into the first act?
Let's go into the first act. Let's open
Fan-
those curtains.
Fantastic. So we're on stage, and our first act is called "Decide What You Don't Want." Now,
Mm.
why is it that we have to decide on what we don't want first?
Okay, so wherever you're at right now, if you feel powerless in a certain situation or you want to make a change, whether that's to do with your home life, whether that's to do with your business, the first step in igniting your personal power is actually to decide what you don't want. And there's a lot of self-help stuff out there that tells you don't think negative. I've actually written articles on it for magazines and newspapers. I've been interviewed on that, which makes me very annoyed. Initially, when we're first aware that we want to make a change, it's usually because we're feeling negative or there's something negative that we're just done with. And if we don't pay attention to it, if we're not honest about how much something is hurting us, if we're not honest about how we genuinely feel about something in our life, how are we ever going to make the right decision? So
Great question.
the first stage of any change that you're wanting to make, if you're wanting to ignite your power, you want to make a change, is actually what comes very naturally to you. It's to decide what you don't want. And if you think about it, usually the first thing we do is we pick up the phone and we speak to a girlfriend or we speak to a guy friend and we just go, how are you going? Oh God, I can't believe it. I'm so over it. And you say it. Good. Let yourself go there. Don't chastise yourself. Don't stop yourself because, in inverted commas, you're not being positive. Let yourself naturally go there, because here's the thing. If you don't, you're not going to make the right decision for yourself, because you're not going to really be honest with yourself. And I'm going to ask you right now, as you're listening to this, is it safe for you to decide what you don't want? Pull into your mind something right now that you're kind of feeling like you're done with. Whatever it is, it might be a situation, it might be a person, it might be something you've signed up for and realized, actually, I don't want to do it. It might be something to do with your body, your health. What are you genuinely done with? And as you start to become honest with yourself, if you don't allow yourself to be done with this, whatever this is, if you keep it bubbling, if you keep it going, what's going to happen to you in 5 years' time? What would you look like, even at the end of this year, if you keep this going? So, a really important part of you igniting your power is to pay attention to this really important natural step. Because if you don't give yourself this gift of deciding, no, I'm done, then you're going to be worse off. You're going to be worse off in the future. And how long do you really want this situation to go on for? When are you going to end it? What are you going to look like if you never make this decision that you're done with something? If you never make this decision that you don't want something? So often we say to ourselves, or people will say to ourselves, just be positive, just be positive. Things will change. Things will change. Oh my God. Truly, you've been given negativity for a very important reason. It's to help you decipher what is right for you, what is wrong for you. You've been given judgment for a very important reason. It's to help you judge what is right for you and what is wrong for you. There's a lot of new age self-helpy stuff out there again that's about don't judge. No, there's certain kinds of judgment that we need, and this is one of them. So there's never a good time to make a decision no. You've only got now. And as soon as you decide what you don't want, if you all decide right now and stamp your foot and go, you know what, I'm done. Feel that. All your power comes rushing back to you because all of the cells in your body are informed. We've just said no. It's very, very powerful.
That is very powerful. Everything that you just said, because it even goes into my next questions about like what are those inklings or indicators, but you've already hit that. It's those little subtle feelings where we get, a little annoyance, or we have those judgments, or we have those negativity feelings, but rather than shoving them down, it's actually listen to
Yes.
them and bringing them to the surface and just seeing, okay, well, you know what? Yes, I'm doing the laundry, or I'm being a taxi driver, or I'm being the chef, or everything in between, running a business and all this other stuff that maybe it is a bit too much, and that's okay. But it's then now learning to say, hey, you know what? I really don't like that activity. How can I get around it? Maybe it's asking for help, or maybe it's asking for someone else, or doing carpools, or, there's so many great meals out there now. There's HelloFresh and Light and Easy. Like that could just break up a couple nights a week that you don't have to cook. And it's the same amount of money you're putting in for grocery, but rather than you're cooking it, you can actually have that delivered. So there's a lot of options nowadays, and it's just being aware of what you really, truly don't want, and, reappreciating yourself.
Yeah, and it's exactly what you're saying. So first of all, can you give yourself permission to decide, no, I don't want this? Because if you don't, think about where you're going to be in a few years. No one can decide but you. And look at where your energy drains are. If you write down now just a little smattering of, do you know what, this person drains me, this situation drains me, I don't get anything from this, I don't get anything. Write down where your energy is draining. It's like you've got little holes in you. Everything on this planet is energy, including you and me. Things are either adding to you or taking away. Where are those energy drains? You don't have to make any big decisions now. The first step is really just deciding. The rest of the steps will come to you. But if you never decide, I'll tell you now, the rest of the steps just won't come.
Right.
People will say to you, think positive, but you'll never really trust it. You'll never really know that it was the right decision because you never really got down to brass tacks. You never really got down to the core of you and heard you, because you're hearing everybody else. So just spend some time to genuinely hear you. And it's really okay for you to hear it, not know what the next steps are, just hear it. The next steps will come.
Absolutely. And Marina, I know that we talked about this actually really recently within my own life, because I've just become pregnant recently, so I'm a parent to be, but I actually originally thought I was pretty focused prior to the pregnancy, but then once the pregnancy unexpectancy came about, that our focus just completely narrowed down, and it was those little subtle items that realizing, wow, you know what, that does drain me, or that conversation does drain me, or that, and it's just nitpicking because we all have limited time. And I always say there's only two things in life we can invest. It's time and money, and of the two, time is more important. and that's all we have on this planet. So we might as well make the most of it. And why would we spend that time? Our time is valuable, just like everyone else's, and that's why we need to respect other people's time. But at the same time, we really need to value our own first to be able to respect other people's.
I love that. I remember when I was pregnant thinking, oh my God, I just got a brand new bullshit detector. And
Yep.
and literally, I remember talking to a friend of mine. We were at the beach and we were just talking, and I just looked at her and thought, no, I can't be around you anymore. I'm literally wasting my time. And if you're a mom or you're a dad listening to this, typically as soon as you have children, something shifts in you. Lots of things, my God, lots of things shift in you. But one of the big things I see regularly is everybody gets this bullshit detector. Listen to it, worship it, trust it. If it's not right for you, if it's not making you happy right now, it's not for you. So yeah, those changes, it doesn't mean that you are judgmental, nasty, bitchy, uncaring, unloving, not a evolved person. It genuinely means sometimes you just got to say, you're not for me. And that's one of the most powerful places you can be. So yeah, enjoy the BS detector.
Love it. And I think that's a great spot to end the first act. I think that's really, really important. I think there's a lot of points that were hit there. So thank you so much. So that's the end of the first act. Now on to the second act, which is desire what you do want.
Yes.
Right? So what if we've never thought about ourselves, or we don't see our needs are important when there's so much other stuff going on in our lives? How can we take the time to think of ourselves? Isn't that selfish?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is selfish. It is absolutely selfish. It is also the best kind of selfish. My goddess. When we were born, when you and I were little, we had that. We absolutely had the ability to go into ourselves and invest in ourselves. And by invest, I don't mean like a banker, but I mean literally look after ourselves and make sure that we were happy. And as we got older, we got taught by the people around us. I mean, I don't know about you, but if you think about your mum, did she get everything she wanted? Did you watch your mum look after herself, put herself first?
Unfortunately, no.
No,
No.
most people I speak to, in fact, I've actually never spoken to anyone that says yes. And I know that they're out there, but the majority of people didn't grow up because we weren't brought up like that. So what I say to people is, it often feels counterintuitive. It feels weird. It feels wrong. And it feels hard to maintain in the beginning. And look, I coach some very well-known people who are seen as at the top of their self-help field. You know, they've got New York bestsellers and da 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 da. They need support too. We all do. So it's just about starting right now, thinking about yourself and saying, well, what do I need to receive right now? Do I need strength? Do I need self-love? Do I need to transform something? What do I need right now? And often you'll get an answer. If you don't get an answer and you have no idea, it's okay. Just make yourself a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and have a stop. Or decide right now, what would you most love to have for lunch? And for a lot of people I speak to, initially, that's actually a really big question. I actually don't know because I'm so used to hearing other people's needs. And for women in particular, we're born to nurture, but we also have strong intuition. So often we feel everybody else. So it's the ability to pull back and just feel ourselves. And that comes with regularity and practice. So what if every day this week you just decided what your most awesome lunch would be? Whether you can have it, create it, buy it or not is irrelevant. But what would really make you happy to be eating at lunch today?
I love that you brought in personal needs, because I think that's where a lot of people start with this. Is what we do want is we go straight to business, or we go straight to money, or we
No.
forget about our own personal needs of just what makes us happy, right? What do we value? And I think that's a huge question, is what do we value? And when was the last time you looked at your own values, and when did you prioritize them? Do you have any insights or tips to help our listeners to understand the difference between business needs or personal needs, and just to give some insight of how can we prioritize or reprioritize where we're at the moment if we're a little bit uncertain or
Yeah.
lost?
Okay. So Go into your feeling. If you focus on how you feel, it won't feel as hard to decide whether you're going to do business now or personal life right now. So I'll give you an example. So for example, today,
Mm-hmm.
I have lots on. I have a great big to-do list. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And some of it not so wonderful. Like I have to do my tax. Oh my God.
Favorite.
So anyway, but do you know what? I knew this morning that I needed to spend about an hour just on me, just listening and hearing to my own wisdom. So that's exactly what I've done. Now, I'm not worried that I won't get all the other stuff done. When I go with my feeling and actually go with what I most need to do in the here and now, the rest always follows. When I negate my wisdom and I negate actually how I feel and push through it, it always comes back to bite me. So if I didn't listen to that right now, and then I've got something I did with a client this morning, and then I'm doing this beautiful interview with you, and then I've got other stuff this afternoon. None of it is going to sit on that foundation. I've had other times where I've started to meditate. I'm like 30 seconds in, and I just get this overriding feeling, no, you've got to go and do work. I go, fine, good, stand up, and I go and work. I
Mm-hmm.
just trust that I'm in the right place at the right time. So again, become a good listener of you. There's no right way to do your day, right? If I know I have a really big day of clients, I don't schedule stuff in early morning. Early morning is for me, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
do yoga, or I'll go for a walk, or I'll dance, I'll meditate. It's about me, and I'll start at 10 a.m. I don't care that somebody else is maybe starting at 8 a.m. They'll take a 7 a.m. client. I will never do that. That's just not how I work. So often what we think is being efficient is actually being really inefficient because we're energy. When we don't listen to our energy and actually build it, the day just disintegrates. And I don't know about you, but I've had days where I haven't listened to myself. I haven't prioritized my personal stuff. I've just done business. And at the end of the day, I just want to be inhaling chocolate. Like, just give me whatever pleasure, whatever I can get, because I've ignored myself all day. Or same as if I've spent all day on myself. But here's the thing, I'm guessing a lot of us don't really have that problem. It's usually how can I support myself whilst I'm really busy?
Really good insight. Thank you so much for that, Marina. I'm going to go right into the third act because this one's kind of actually a perfect timing in regards to detoxing what's in your way. I think
Yeah.
what you just mentioned about with the chocolate, that's a good thing to detox. But I do love chocolate, don't get me wrong, but dark chocolate would be good. So, third act, detox what's in your way. This is obviously a crucial turning point in your performance.
Yeah.
Why is detoxing so vital?
Okay. So when I talk about detoxing, I'm really talking about emotional detoxing. Yes, physical detoxing, but really emotional detoxing because a lot of us are already doing body health or we know about body health. We know we want to exercise, we know we need to eat well, but we haven't yet really focused on our emotional health. And if you think about it, your happiness is everything. That's why you're listening to this podcast. That's
Mm-hmm.
why you're paying your mortgage. That's why you're doing your job. That's why you're looking after your kids. That's why you've made this decision and that decision. Your happiness is everything. So when I talk about detox, what I'm talking about is if you're saying you want something right now to happen, so it's a certain amount of money you want to earn, or it's something in your career, or it's something in your personal life, and you're not getting it, I want to know why, and I want to know what's underneath that. What are you more committed to? And that's where we look at, is it self-sabotage? Is it that you are overcome with fear? What is it that you need to release from yourself? And so that is usually subconscious healing because 85% of what's in our way lives underneath in our subconsciousness. It's not in our conscious mind, which is why when you go for a cup of tea with your girlfriend or you go for a gorgeous cocktail with your girlfriend and you're talking about what you don't want, brrr, you're doing great. But when you walk away, the deep stuff that needs to be healed, nothing's changed.
Mm-hmm.
So you can talk all you like, but until you go down deep, you don't really know what's going on. So I can talk to a client and she or he might say it's X, Y, and I go, great, okay, let's go inside and see what's happening. It could be completely different. And so if we don't clear out what's in our way of getting our desires in our second act, what's in our way of genuinely deciding what we don't want? What's in our way of creating the best year of our life, of creating the life of our dreams? We're going to be carrying this around. And I always say, I had a woman ask me recently at a talk, she's like, what is real healing? What do you mean by real healing? And I go, real healing is where you will not walk out of this year with the same problems you walked in with. You will have actually healed your past. And once you've genuinely healed your past, that's it. You've got nothing holding you back that's ancient. Now all you've got is the month to month stuff that you need to heal because this situation just occurred last night and you just need to clear that and heal that. There's a lot of people out there in the coaching industry, and I'm going to bag them out a little bit, that are very much about future coaching, just think positive. If you feel sad, think about happy thoughts. Or if you've got this problem, here are the actions you can take. Well, what happens if you can't take the actions? What happens if you're sabotaging? What happens if you just can't do the strategies that are being given to you by your clinical psychologist right now? It's because we need to access your deeper healing and actually go inside and transform whatever is in your way. And the way I see it is that every single part of you, whether it's positive or negative, is actually a friend you just haven't made yet. So instead of banishing your self-sabotage and beating yourself up because you're doing it, we actually make friends with it and hear its wisdom. Everything that's happening to you right now, we use to detox and clear and heal yourself so that you're free, because real healing is real freedom.
I think that's actually a great transition into my next question, because with that healing and detoxification, no matter what our gender is, there's going to be that masculine feminine energy discussion, right? So maybe I'm too feminine or I'm too masculine. Rather than, how important is it to actually raise those both energies, masculine and feminine, again, regardless of our gender, to their highest states, to allow us to not only detox, but to allow us to brighten our capabilities to the world. Why is that?
Okay, so ultimately, we all want to become the greatest expression of ourselves. We're here to evolve. That's why we're on this planet. And each of us contains 50% masculine, 50% feminine, whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, doesn't matter. Most of us have a very well-developed masculine side because it was honed by school. It was honed and toned and mushed around by school. And masculine is productivity, doing. Do, produce, become number one, and do it mostly on your own. Feminine energy is actually about receiving, not charging after it with your horse all the time, receiving, collaboration. Yeah, and it's basically, we need both. In my experience, the masculine is actually pretty high in most of us. We actually need to raise the feminine to match. But the feminine isn't all about floaty dresses. The feminine is actually about being powerful in a feminine way. So instead of calling a boundary, maybe in a, "Oh, no thanks, no," and walking away, which is masculine, and my God, we need that too, saying to somebody, I'm really enjoying this conversation right now, but I actually need to leave. Thank you so much. Goodbye. That's the feminine way of calling your boundaries. So we actually need both. Both are really, really important. Without having both, we're either going to be too left-brained or too right-brained. I see people that just have a lot of the feminine. They don't have enough masculine in them. And so they're not grounded. They're not in their bodies, and they're actually very impractical. So they'll have all this spiritual side to themselves, but they're not able to actualize it. They're not able to put their beautiful gifts into action because they're too much in their feelings. So we actually need that beautiful balance of both. Or I see a lot of people that are just in their head. They're not feeling, because feelings are dangerous. They'll see somebody cry and they'll go, "Oh, what's wrong? Are you okay?" No, crying is good. If you're not scared of your emotion, you'll let it all flow through you. There's nothing to be scared of. There's nothing to run away. People often feel that your emotion will take over you, or just wash over you. It won't. If you're friends with it, it will have no power over you. It will always just guide you back to the best expression of yourself. So yeah, we need both. Like we need the left brain and the right brain. We need the both.
I think that's beautifully said, Marina, because I think it's also really important for male listeners, even right now, that are listening, because they need to raise their feminine energy too. And it's not about
Yes.
the gentler, softer side, it's actually the compassionate side. And that would skyrocket your business because you'll have collaboration and the creativity, other people speak their mind, not the
Yes.
only dominant side where they have to be right and no one wants to actually raise their hand to suggest amazing ideas because you're not allowing that space to happen. So it's very, very important for business, personal life, and raising children, right? You want them to have both those energies at their highest level.
Well, absolutely. That I get men, they go, I don't know why I'm not working. I can't, I'm not having a great relationship with my wife. They need to lift up their feminine so they can actually be with another feminine energy. So for men that are having issues in their relationships, they haven't been taught to actually value the feminine in them. Men are taught to value the masculine, winning, producing, being the hunter gatherer. Now, I know those are all basics, but if you look at how school is, a lot of boys when they were growing up in school weren't allowed to cry. A lot of men still don't feel they can cry. The only emotion that they can show that's socially acceptable is anger. So men haven't been taught that to really value their feminine. And actually, us women haven't been taught to value our feminine either. We often feel bad that we need more support.
Absolutely. Well, I was told when I was younger to not cry. And that was just because of the background culture that I grew up in too. And it was a male dominant household as well. So not
Yeah.
only our nationality. So no, definitely. And that's even why, the feminine energy, I've been going on through this whole curve as well, because I'm raising that bar to match my masculine energy while still keeping it there, but being, that softer side as well. So that's great. Thanks, Marina. I'm going to take us into the final act because this kind of is a great interaction right into it is self-love action.
Mm.
What is self-love?
My definition is it is the act of being kind to yourself. So, my question to you right now is how kind are you being to yourself right now? Do you need the loo and are you holding it in? Do you have a cup of tea? Do you have water? Do you have coffee? Are you warm enough? Do you have a blanket around your shoulders? Are you thinking thoughts that are genuinely adding to you right now? Or are you feeling like you're not good enough? How kind are you being to yourself right now?
How significant is that self-love?
Very, very. I was on the train about a month ago and I looked out the window. We stopped at a station. It was in Sydney, big station. And I saw all these people just humping about. I love that word, humping, just humping about on the platform. And I just looked and everyone just had their shoulders dropped and they just looked like they didn't want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, what's the difference between you and somebody else right now who's being chauffeur driven to their destination? Now, little side note, I love trains. There's nothing wrong with trains, adore them, but that's the thought I had. What's the difference between you and somebody else that's traveling in a really amazing way? Is it talent? Is it luck? Is it charisma? And I thought, no, it's self-love and self-respect. That's all it is. It's where you vibrate. It's how much love you're actually willing to give to yourself. People are always responding to that vibration in you. If you think the world has forgotten about you, it's you that's forgotten about your talents or your worth or your value. You set the tone. You teach other people how to treat you. It comes from you. And I looked around the station and I thought, my God, if everybody around here really had high self-love, how would they walk? How would they have dressed today? How would they have held themselves? What would the energy be in the station today? It's huge. I think it's one of the biggest things that we are finally addressing now. It's really only been the last few years that the majority of people are going, hey, you know what? I wasn't taught self-love as a kid. I don't even know kind of how to do it. It's completely new to me and I go in and out, in and out, in and out. And a lot of people look like they're doing it. They look like they're doing it, but they're not. And only you know when you're being kind to yourself. What are the actions that would then follow on from that? And so I believe that self-love is one of the biggest reasons that we're not where we want to be, because we've got the talent, right? We've got the ability, but there's something we haven't got, and that self-love has to rise up. Has to rise up.
Absolutely. And I love that you brought it up about the community, just being in a train station, but even think of for the children. Children,
Yeah.
when we're raising them and or parents to be like myself, but when we're raising the parents or the children, sorry, the children are only actually looking at what we do. Yes, we want to tell them certain things, but as we all know, as when we were younger, we don't always listen to our parents. So how are we expecting as parents to be then telling our kids to love themselves if we don't actually truly love ourselves? And it's actually based on our actions of what we do to actually show them how we can love ourselves. And that does start within, and then it will ricochet out. It will,
Yes.
flourish, and it will radiate. And it's not radiate as a beam, it's actually as a wave. And everyone around you will feel, as you talked about, with the energy. So really, really crucial. I completely agree with you, Marina. It's really beautifully said. I'm going to bring down the show, and we're going to wrap this up. And as the final act has finished and the curtain is down, we all know you rock the show, as always, Marina. So thank you so much for being on. You are phenomenal, and you always just put out your A game. So really appreciate that. We now have an encore, okay? And this is a little game of mine. I love games. I think life's a game of different activities. So this is where I want you to share your wisdom with us based on one word. So I will say one word, and if you can say the first word that comes to your mind as everyone's applauding you on your encore stage, that would be amazing. Is there any questions, or does that make sense?
No, that makes sense.
Okay, perfect. Ready?
Ready.
All right, first word, love.
Happiness.
Friendship.
Joy.
Honesty.
Clarity.
Fun.
Just huge sunshiny smiles.
Remember one word.
I know.
Rainbows, happy endings. No, just joking. Children.
New.
Business.
Life's purpose.
Gratitude.
I'll talk to you about that one afterwards.
Okay, no problem. Legacy.
Legend.
I love it. Yep. Teamwork.
Collaboration. The new way.
Definitely. Contribution.
Life's purpose again.
Education.
Inner wisdom.
Mindset.
Heart set.
Life.
Afterlife.
Nutrition.
Nourishment.
Sex.
Pleasure.
Exercise.
Vibration.
Fame.
Ego.
Relationships.
Joy.
Money.
Energy.
Systems.
Efficiency.
Marketing.
Energy again.
Babysitters.
Fabulous.
Growth.
Needed.
Love it. Thank you. That was a great encore.
I know I didn't stick to within the rules.
That's all right. I'm just joking. It's fine. We're entrepreneurs. We break the rules. It happens. Don't worry. So this is my last but not least question. We're in the dressing room. The curtains are down. The show is over. Looking back and reflecting on your business and life journey, going back to whichever age you choose, what advice would you share with yourself, and how old are you?
Okay, so I've got an image of me at the age of 8. I can see the dress that I'm wearing. Oh, a kookaburra has just flown to look at me. Hello. We're getting this together, me and the kookaburra. I had and have a lot of energy. I just naturally give it out. If I could go back, I would have actually taught myself to keep some of that energy for myself, not to give all of it out all of the time, not to help people all of the time with their problems. I mean, even though I was 8, I was still, people would come to me with their needs, and I was still kind of helping them. I would actually have taught myself to to just not just send my energy outwards, but just to keep some of it going inwards to replenish myself. So I would actually receive. So I would actually also invest in myself and move forward, not to give it all away. I used to feel like I was going to burst, like, oh, I've just got to get it out. And I would give it out, and then the other person would feel amazing and walk away. And I'd be like, oh, good. I didn't understand how to contain it. And honestly, I didn't really understand how to contain it for a long, long time. My God, well into my adulthood. And then I started learning it, that I don't have to give everything away. I can keep some of it for me so that my life also moves forward. It's not just other people's lives that move forward, it's also mine. And I need my energy to move my life forward too. And that's not anybody else's fault. I just wasn't taught how to deal with my energy, because at school they don't teach any of that. No one
Absolutely.
teaches you about that stuff. So that's what I would go back and teach myself that.
Beautiful advice. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to add on from today's performance?
Just that life is about all of us evolving, and it's actually genuinely about us saying, what would turn me on today? What would turn you on right now? Don't worry about real life. What would turn you on right now? Would it be to sit there completely adorned in jewels and high heels? You know, I'm wearing red strappy high heels right now. I don't need to. I'm in my home office. Where am I going? But I did it because it would turn me on. It would just make me feel fabulous. So what would turn you on? And also, what's turning you off right now? When you start to ask yourself these powerful questions, you'll be amazed at the wisdom that's already in you that wants to be heard. So I always find that after I've listened to a podcast or after I've had a coaching session, or I say to my clients, the next hour after a session is your most potent. Sit, write, allow yourself to hear your own wisdom, because you do know. Yeah, that's what I would complete it with.
I love it. And I'm just going to add on because you touched on about the powerful questions, the importance of asking powerful questions. I've been working with my business coach on that for the last couple of years. And he pretty much just drilled into my head that you have to ask better questions. But how important is it for our children as well to ask better questions? So rather than as parents to get annoyed by they're always asking why, or why is this, why is that, it's encouraging them to ask better questions, because that's going to increase their creativity. Their life is by asking better questions, and that's what is all about. It's not about giving the right answers. It's actually more important to ask the more quality questions. So I love
It's
that you brought that up.
Absolutely. It's about not squashing them. The way I see it, people say to me about my daughters, oh, she's this, she's that. I said, well, you know what? She came in like that. They go, no, it's your parenting. I go, not really, in a lovely way. My job was just not to mess it up. She already came in perfect. So, you know, if your child has just done something that is hurtful to somebody else, you can ask them, what happened to you just before this happened? What happened to you just before you hit your brother? Or what happened to you just before? You're helping them delve into themselves, and you're not making them feel as if they're not good enough. And that's why I always say, if you want to bring out the best in your children, focus on your own healing. And that's the legacy you want to be passing on to the next generation. Because if you step out of your limiting beliefs and you're flourishing again, it's going to be a far more natural step for you to help them flourish than it will be if you're just in your head trying to figure out what to do or what to say all the time. Start with yourself. And then, absolutely, rather than telling them, remember, they've come out perfectly. Our job, I believe, is just to guide them and to support them. So we're not squashing them, we're helping them to expand. And look, I'm not perfect at it at all. And so one of the things that I did do with my daughter when she was younger is I said to her, when mummy shouts, because I shouted at her at one particular point, being a single parent, stressful, and she was upset. And I said to her, you know, when mummy shouts? She said, yes. And I said, you know, sometimes mummy doesn't shout. She said, yes. I said, it's for the same thing, isn't it? She said, yes. I said, it's not because of you. When mummy shouts, it's because she's in pain. And she just looked at me and she was like, okay. I said, so when mummy shouts, she's in pain. It doesn't mean you're always right. Sometimes you need to be supported. Sometimes you're wrong in what you're doing, but it means she's in pain. So since then, if I've gotten cross or angry or whatever, she'll say, "Mum, are you okay?" And it
So
really
nice.
stops me in my tracks, because I realize, no, I'm not. And I'll say, "Oh my God, thank you." And sometimes I'm thinking, "Oh, for God's sakes,
Why did I say that to her in the first
damn it."
place?
But she's aware. So she
Yeah.
hasn't taken it on. She hasn't taken me on. She's actually able to separate.
It's really amazing, Marina. Thank you so much, because that really just ends it with the focus of leading from your heart, from your self love. You're leading from your heart rather than from your mind, and you're educating your children to do the same. So thank you so much. And I'm sure all of our listeners are listening right now, is how can they get in touch with you? What would be the best way? And I'll put these in the show notes and the details as well, so they'll be there too.
Sure. If you want my little glitter bombs of happiness, you can get them dropped into your inbox. I have my website, marinaj.net, marinaj.net. You can pop your name and email in there, and I have regular things that I send out. You'll also receive a beautiful gift from me. It changes every few months. So depending on when you're listening to this, you'll get something lovely from me, really just to support you on your journey. And if you want to hear from me more regularly, I'm on Facebook. So Marina J Coaching. I'm on Twitter, Marina J Goddess. And I'm on Instagram, Marina J Coaching again. Come on, say hi, and really allow yourself to receive what you need.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Marina, for taking the time out to be on our show today. We really appreciate it. You're amazing. And yes, thank you so much again from the bottom of our heart. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I love talking to you. You ask the best questions, powerful questions. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're most welcome. Thank you, listeners. We'll be in touch soon. Next week, we'll have the great Shane Anderson online, which will be super exciting, and he'll be able to take us through his entrepreneur journey with us as well. So looking forward to hearing from you guys next week. Take care, guys. Thank you. Bye.